Come on.
Knockouts in 3 counts starts now.
Ooh, what up? No, it is another Tuesday. This is Knockouts in 3 counts, and the champ is here. We're not talking about John Cena. We're talking about tonight's guest, Caroline Veyre. I appreciate you coming through.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Can't complain. Like I said, sounding like somebody's holding my nose, but other than that part, we're all good.
Adds flavor, bro. It's like adds flavor to
I'm
the
with
interview.
you. It
You know what I
adds
mean?
some flavor to it.
Something different. Something different.
That's what
good.
we'll go with for the day. I've got my nasally accent, and she's got the French accent. It works.
Wait, what do I got? I got nothing over here. I got the Detroit.
You just got the
accent.
white boy from Pontiac accent. That's what you got.
Ridiculous.
You got the white boy from Pontiac accent.
This is some BS.
Hey man, at least you got a good hat on. But with that being said,
that's right.
We appreciate you coming through. We were there at the fights at Little Caesars a couple weeks ago. I've actually been at your last couple fights with being here in Michigan, whether that's for Salida Promotions and all that stuff. So shout out to them and Chris de Blasio for helping us set all this stuff up. But I was doing my research and we were looking through all things Caroline Veyre. You got to tell me, I know how I got into boxing, and I got into boxing because I was getting jumped a bunch as a kid. My mom put me in the gym where I was the only white kid. So I'm anxious to know, with you, why boxing, how boxing, and when did you start boxing?
Oh, so I started boxing kind of late. I was 18 years old, and really like out of nowhere. Like I always did a lot of sports and stuff, but just something I just tried. Actually, I tried first kickboxing, and I didn't like it. And hi.
Hi, how you doing?
What'd you like about kickboxing?
I thought it was really, really hard to actually throw punches and kicks at the same time. It was kind of hard, and so I was okay. Fuck it. I already subscribed at a gym, so I'm gonna try boxing in this sense. And I didn't know anything about boxing at the time, and I never actually watched a boxing match. All I knew about boxing was the Rocky movie. So when I tried, so that's why when I tried it, I understood that okay, that's not really like about just like punching each other and somebody's falling at the end. It's not like that. So I kind of fell in love with the sport because it was the strategy part that I really love about it, and the movement, technical movements. I just got obsessed with that, and I wanted to learn it and to be the best at it. So that's kind of like how it started out of nowhere.
Having talked to a couple boxers now here on the show, that seems to be a real common theme with you guys. Is you guys really dive, like, I mean, all combat sports, of course, you dive head deep into it, but boxers, it's like the fundamentals and like the elements of what makes the sport. Like the way you guys talk about it and stuff, like you can tell that like you're really tuned into the game, and it seems like that's the case with every true boxer.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I love about it. That's the game behind it. You gotta be smart in the ring actually. If you really wanna succeed as a boxer, that's the key. You gotta be you gotta have a good boxing IQ. And that's what I love about the sport. It's yeah, it's like a chess mate.
I wonder how many boxers actually use like the Rocky movie to get into boxing.
Dude, we all watched the Rocky movie.
It's got to be like
say you didn't,
the most motivational movie of all time. It has to.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one is the question.
Mine?
No, I'm asking her, not you. Fool, ladies first.
Oh yeah, for sure.
My favorite movie, like a boxing movie.
Out of the Rocky movies, which one's your favorite?
Um, oh, the first one I would say actually because they all like they all after like all cheesy a little bit, but the first one is the classic one.
Yeah.
You're
It
not
felt
So
wrong.
it felt
yeah,
like they didn't have the time to like learn like the cheesiness aspects quite as much.
Yeah.
Like it was all original at that point, and then they like leaned into
exactly.
they
Mhm.
leaned into the aspects that provided that feeling.
Yeah. After it went a little too far, but it was still good.
I can't sit here and say that there weren't times that I watched the Rocky movies and then went and did road work after that. So I can't say that I'm not one of those people that
There you
got
go. See?
in. Hey, like I said, you can't go wrong with the Rocky movies. But you brought up something that I wanted to talk about too. In doing my research, I found, I saw all your amateur accolades. You talked about how you got into boxing a little bit later. Um, you were a 2020 Olympian, you Pan Am Games gold medalist. Like, I mean, you had quite the decorated career. With you, coming into boxing late and being a female, how
Yeah.
important do you think like having those amateur accolades are to like you progressing in your pro career? And did you feel like you needed to stay amateur a little while so that you had more behind you?
It was actually kind of really important for me. This background is really precious. Like that's where I learned everything. That's where I developed my boxing IQ. I saw so many style in amateur boxing, and I faced so many challenges. For me, it's really precious. I have over 145s, and at first, I never thought I was gonna turn pro, because I was 32 by the time I went to the Olympics, and I thought, okay, that was my main goal for my during my whole career. That's what I wanted. I wanted to become an Olympic medalist, and that was like the biggest, the summum of it, you know. And I thought in amateur boxing, that's where I was facing the best in the world. But then when I realized that all the girls that were good in amateur boxing were turning pro, I felt like, okay, the game is changing and it's kind of cool actually. Like it's getting more interesting in the pro boxing too. So that's when I thought, okay, I gotta keep going. I gotta do this too, and be the best in professional boxing too.
Well, that brings up something that, is a very good point too. Like I said, with you being so decorated as an amateur, like, you see so many boxers. Like I know, like we talked about before we went live, I mean, I've watched Tony Harrison since he was, an amateur. And that's one thing you see a lot in boxing as opposed to MMA and things like that. Most of the time in MMA, you're seeing guys and girls get 4, 5, 6 fights as an amateur, sometimes like 10, 12, something like that. And then they go pro. Where
Hmm.
boxing, it's a lot like Muay Thai in that, I just called Muay Thai fights, which if you guys are watching on Millions, shout out to last week's guest, former American Idol contestant Dave Fio, who got his big dub at Mitten Muay Thai 6. That's the one thing with that. That's a lot like boxing in that, like the Muay Thai fighters, they'll fight like have hundreds of fights before they go pro because you're fighting 10, 12, 13 times just in, like a tournament. And I got to imagine, as a fighter when you step into those pro ranks. I mean, like I mentioned, you had Pan Am gold medalist, you were an Olympian, you did all
Hmm.
those things. I mean, that's about as tough a competition as you
Hmm.
can get on the amateur level before you go in there, which I have to imagine when it puts you on like the world stage, like you were when we were there in Detroit, where you're fighting for a world title, you know,
Yes.
it makes it a lot more like another day in the office versus, oh shit, this is a big stage for me to get
Yeah. And especially the difference with boxing and MMA. I mean, boxing
on.
in the first fights, you're just gonna do maybe like 4 rounds, 6 rounds, and you're not gonna face with big opponents. So you probably maybe gonna stop them. It's not gonna be like difficult fights, right? But when you get in the world championships, like big championships, um, you can just think you're gonna stop somebody that quick, It's not like that. MMA maybe you can just uh beat somebody up, and it's gonna be different. It's gonna be it's gonna be fast. But in boxing, when championship, it's like 10 rounds, and uh, you gotta be smart. You gotta be smart in the ring, and you gotta have good game playing. And it's a different game. It's a different game. So that's why this experience is really important. And that was important in my career. Yeah.
Can you
I know
talk to
you.
me? Go ahead, Corey.
I was just going to say, I know you kind of brought up like the transition from pro to, from amateur to pro, but you
Yes.
brought up like the inspiration at the moment. You seeing women's boxing kind of take that like huge, influx of both talent and just eyeballs and fans in general. Talk me through like that initial, like you had achieved so much at that point, and then to, like you say, already have done all of that, but then to reach into the pro ranks, I'm assuming with huge expectations both from you and others alike. Talk me through that whole transitional stage. I want to hear a little more on that.
Well, for me, the hardest part of the transition was my my boxing style, because I was used to the amateur boxing style, because I've been amateur for like 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I had like an European style. My first coach was Polish, and I learned from him, and I had like that stepping step out style, and
Yeah.
it really helped me out in my career as an amateur. But in the pros, it was hard because that was not helpful anymore. I
Yeah.
had to stay in the action to have something, uh to hurt my opponents. So I had to change my style, and that was the hardest part. So I had to go to the States. That's where I trained for like maybe 3 months in Las Vegas, and that's where it really helped me to develop my pro style. And then I changed completely my team last year, and that's when I really felt like I was progressing and I was getting better. But it took me maybe like 2 years. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, but for me it was really important to keep going and to turn pro. Like what I really wanted to do is, as an amateur you don't have like necessarily like all the visibility like you had in a pro. And I knew I had like a lot of talent, but I felt like in my career I didn't have like the recognition I wanted, and what I deserved, really. So that's why I kept going, and I'm just happy now. Like being pro, it's like a reward for me now.
I
Feel
mean,
that.
chasing belts and getting, shows calling after you and stuff. It's got to be a different transition from where you were at in the amateur ranks, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was hard to
Well,
change.
we talk about Canada. I mean, obviously, when most people think of Canada, they think of hockey. So, were you a
Yeah.
hockey fan at all? And talk to me about what the boxing scene's like over there in Canada, not just as a whole, but especially for women.
Yeah, I never was a hockey fan
There's
because
fighting in hockey. I mean, come on.
Just
it's
ask Darren
funny.
McCarty.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm French. Like I was born in France, and I moved to Canada when I was 14 years old. So I didn't really like in France. The sport is football,
Mm.
soccer. I mean, soccer.
Okay.
So I never really follow hockey games anyway. But no, but boxing is really like it was better before in Canada. Um, we had like a very good boxing stars such as Licia Boudersa, Jean Pascal, if you know them, and
Pascal was fun to watch.
yeah. And now it's not like before, but there's still like there's a small market, but it's still we have good boxers, but that's the public is more or less interesting by boxing.
Well, you talk about the interest that's come to women's boxing. You know, you get into fight on your last couple cards on the undercard of a Clarissa Shields fight. You know, I mean, she's
Yeah.
probably one of the bigger names that you're going to find as far as female boxing. And then you've got,
Yes.
you know, the Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano fight that just happened and all that stuff. What is it for you, like, you know, as you move up through the pro ranks, how do you feel about seeing like women's boxing finally getting put on like not a pedestal of sorts, but getting the main event spot like we've had here in Detroit? And what does it mean to get to fight on a card with somebody like Clarissa Shields?
It feels so good to see that actually. Finally having like great fights like that. I mean, having women highlighting um, boxing cards. It's amazing, and seeing like all female card too. Um, Great fights, only great fights on the Taylor versus Serrano to the third. The show was that was a very good show, and I'm just happy to see the development because when I was in the amateur, it wasn't like that. Like uh, I saw everything like the first Olympics in 2012, and then they added other Olympic weight class. It was already like a progress, and now seeing like even in the pros, it's progressing. It's amazing to see that and to finally see like women's talent, because women can fight just like men and
Absolutely.
even better as men too. And Clarissa Shields is just like amazing, an amazing boxer. Uh, she she's an amazing athlete. Uh, she accomplished so many things, and being on her card, fighting on her card every time, it's just it's an honor for me. I've seen her, and I competed a few times in the same tournaments on her in the Olympics, sorry, in the amateur, and I just I saw like a progression too, and I'm just so privileged for me to be always fighting on a card in such great events like that in Detroit, in Flint. So yeah, I'm really grateful.
You got quite the introduction to Michigan. You get one extreme of going to Flint and doing it where we did at the Dordt Financial Center for that fight. And then you go down to Little Caesars, which is our biggest arena here in Michigan. I mean, it was dope as a boxing guy to see women's boxing be able to put, be put on that, because a lot of times I think not only because it wasn't looked at the same way as like men's boxing, like you said, or men's MMA or any of that thing, how that was so different there for women versus men as well. You know, another thing that you guys have to deal with versus like men is like, you know, we see a lot of backlash on, you know, the fighters that do like the OnlyFans stuff. Talk to me about that. Like, does that bother you at all when you see people say the things they do about OnlyFans when in reality, I mean, that's another stream of income for you?
You mean what they say about what?
Well, so like it said, I seen you were sponsored by like OnlyFans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times you see like a lot of people like, oh, that she's just an OnlyFans chick. You know what I mean? What would your response be, you know, to those? Because I watched your fight. You went in there and yours was one of the more fun ones for me to watch because, you know, you stopped, you stopped your opponent in her tracks every time you were hitting her. Like, you know, the first round, she did a good job of being in for Licia Boudersa. I don't know if I said that correctly. But, you know, she was popping her jab real hard the first round. It seemed like you were taking a little bit of time to kind of get the rhythm down. But once you got into your groove and you could tell that you felt comfortable, your shots were stopping her in her tracks. So, like, it's just funny to me because you see people hate on the OnlyFans thing so much. And to me, it's like at the end of the day, if you can get in there and fight in the ring, it ain't none of my business what you do outside the ring,
Yeah.
or that's not none of my business. That's why I always wonder when you see, the female fighters that use that stuff. Every answer you get is different. Every answer you get is different from every fighter. So I just wondered from your standpoint, what are your thoughts on that? Because to me, your skills are what pays the bills.
I mean, yeah, that's right. And it's only like it's a brand, and you're just like for me, OnlyFans is like the best sponsor I ever had. They really helped me out in my boxing career like so much, and uh, I was able to even like pay some of my fights thanks to them, because at some point I was alone without any promoter, because I left the promoter I had in Canada, so I had to find a way uh, to come back and be seen by another promoter. Like that was the hardest part for me, and people maybe don't realize that, because they don't know. They just have their judgment about the brand, and it doesn't matter. Like for me, it was like the best support I ever had in my career, and
Can you?
yeah.
I was going to say,
And
can you talk about how they've helped you out? Like you say that they're your best sponsor you've ever had. Like, what sets them above all of the other sponsors you get?
well, I mean, with them, I have like a contract. I gotta do like it's like a content creator contract.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of different, because it's like a salary that I have kind of per year, and uh, it's beyond different and better than what I had in the past. And even like in Canada, it's so hard for women in sports to find sponsors. So I was just lucky to get them, and um, I was able to get that sponsor because I was broadcast on the Zone, and thanks to that, uh, I could just like I got seen. I got seen by Dimitri Salita. That's how I got signed by him. That's how in my last fight I won three different titles. So I started from there. Thanks to them, that's where I got, and that's where I am today. So it's just incredible the support that they gave me in my career. They were like a very important part of my career.
And
I
I think
Shout
the
know.
out to
OnlyFans thing
Dimitri
is widely
Salita.
accepted now too, because it's been going on for a while, and I know a lot of fighters announce fights beforehand on their OnlyFans, which is also a thing. If you're
Yeah,
following a
yeah,
fighter, like that
yeah,
stuff pays off, man. So it works. Whatever works.
Well,
Make your
I
yeah.
money, as I say.
well
Exactly.
I to give my 2 cents on it. I've seen a lot of the podcasts and athletes and stuff like yourself where it because the platform has one thing available on it does not mean that's what the athletes are
Exactly.
posting on
Right.
there. And I think there's a huge misconception
Hmm.
with a lot of that. And I think that's where, like, even Kyle kind of posing the question is because it is kind of this like, what is, because there is fighters that do that side of the content as well.
Hmm.
But that being said, I mean, like you've spoken about, and I've seen it on countless other, like I've said, athletes and podcasts that speak the same way that, not everything on that site has to be directed towards that type of thing. And I think that's a huge misconception for a lot of people.
Because everybody's got their mind in the gutter, bro.
Yeah.
That's the world we live in. Let's be
I mean,
honest.
easy
Address
to
the elephant in
do.
the room.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks OnlyFans is all sexual stuff, and it's
Yeah.
not always.
But that's why they have also they sponsor so many athletes, because
Yeah.
they like people to have a different image of the platform, because it's not only about that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think you're muted, Kyle.
How you're still muted.
My bad. Yeah, but it's funny too. It's funny too because, like you just said, Corey, that's one thing that you see a lot of times. But like Cody's saying in the comments, sponsors are what pays the bills. And at the end of the day, like I said, in your last fight, you proved that your skills pay the bills. So talk to me a little bit about your last fight. Talk to me about winning the WBC silver featherweight title over Boudersa. And now that makes you the number one contender for the WBC featherweight title, against Tiara Brown, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So but my last fight, that was a very good and competitive fight, I thought. And it's funny because I wasn't expecting my opponent to fight like that. I watched her and analyzed her style, and I thought she was gonna go backward. She was gonna be on her back foot, and that she had a kind of a counter punch of style, but instead she had a different strategy that night. She tried to go forward, and I don't know if she wanted to like bring the aggressor or a little bit, but um, as I was going backwards, and I was surprised by that, but I did pretty well because I prepared for anything anyway. And yeah, it gave a very interesting fight, very with a lot of action, I thought. uh, and I was able to show different things that I didn't do in my last fight, so I was very happy. And yeah, now I'm a WBC silver champion, and also the mandatory for the World Title Championship, so I'm very happy. Yeah.
My
Uh,
question for you, especially being a female fighter too, is I wonder, with you guys having 2 minute rounds, one thing that I put in my notes and put in the article that I wrote about that fight, which you can check out on ko3c.com and bodyslam.net. But one thing that really stuck out to me is I felt like in the later rounds of that fight, if you had like the extra minute, to finish those rounds, I really think in the later rounds there might have been a good chance that you could have stopped your opponent, because by the end of it, she was like, she was holding on a lot more. To your point, in the earlier half of the fight, she seemed to be a lot more forward fighting, was throwing a lot of jabs, was trying to put a lot of pressure. That's what I saw watching that fight too. So you saying that is
Mm.
exactly what was interesting to me, because she really seemed to try to, push the pace. But it seemed like once you were able to, kind of get your feel, get your range, know where you needed to be to land your shots and be able to get out of the way, you were stopping her momentum as she was coming in. Like you would bust off a 3-4 punch combination and it was like stopping her in her tracks. Do you think if you'd have had like the extra minute, the 3 minute rounds, that you could have stopped your opponent?
Mm, maybe like a lot of people tell me that I have a good style for the 3 minutes round, and it will definitely help me to stop my opponent. But I don't know, like I like the 2 minutes actually,
Really? Okay.
because yeah, just because I like the 2 minutes round because I feel like there's more action, like it's going faster, and it gives a very good show to the public too. But I think I could have actually stopped her in this fight. It just I felt like there was too many holdings, and maybe like
I agree.
I felt like the referee could have done something before, but it doesn't matter. Like it turned out like that, and I'm happy like the way it went. But she was dirty even.
I,
I was annoyed by that.
I, I'm glad you brought up the annoyed, because before Kyle posed his last question, that's what I was going to ask as well. Is you could first shout out Salida Promotions and everybody involved for being able to get us there on site. Huge shout out that love the experience, and like Kyle was mentioning earlier, being on site for the fight, we could really see some of the reactions and stuff in your face. If a pitcher posted 1,000 words, or however you want to say it, like your facial reaction was expressing a lot in some of those moments during the fight. What was going on through your head in those moments?
Yeah, you could see like in my face that I was really like annoyed by that. But to be honest, like I have a very good composure, and that's what really helped me in a fight. Like I have a good mental strength, and I think it's very important to have that and keep focus on the strategy and keep going. But I felt like it really was breaking my momentum, and I really gonna know about that. But yeah, I control myself pretty well.
Yeah. No, that's I agree. You did definitely stay. It was funny because I would see the facial emotions, but then I'd see you immediately just flip it. But like it was a switch. Like you'd be like ah,
Yeah,
and then 2 seconds later just
exactly.
back to and it's like
That was
that
funny.
you were
Yeah.
following your game plan to a T. But it was there
Yeah.
anything having to deal with that experience? Like you said, she was able to stun your momentum a couple times and kind of just tie up and kind of I don't want to say stall because that wasn't the right word for it. She was definitely hurt in a couple moments and needed that time. But was there anything that you learned from that exact those frustrating experiences that you dealt with in this last fight that you can maybe transition later on in your career?
Yeah, maybe like I think like it was a good experience because especially like the sixth and the seventh round when she fell on me, that's when like she broke the momentum. But I think um what I really learned from that is that I should have kept my volume, like the level of volume I was throwing to her. um it was kind of hard to get back into it, and that's what I learned. Like, okay, maybe I had my composure a little too much. I can just like um you know uh, keep up from where I was and keep doing my thing. But it's a good experience, man, for what's next. And um uh for real, I wish I could have stopped her.
Well, you always
Because she
want to
she was
stop.
she was
Yeah.
hurt. She was hurt and she wasn't feeling well. Like it.
Yeah,
You
absolutely,
know,
she was.
yeah. And even when she started to have the eye cut, I felt like okay, it's gonna be done soon. And I watched the fight afterwards, and I think it was the ninth one. The 1 minute break was a little longer than it was supposed to, and I think she was saying like maybe she wanted to get checked by the doctor or something, or stop the fight, but she didn't like it.
I didn't think she was. I know what you're talking about, and I wondered if she was going to get off the stool because usually, anytime that
Exactly.
happens, that's somebody like contemplating, "Do I really want to be here?" Like I totally remember what you were saying, and it was something that I said to Corey when we were up in the box too. So it's definitely something that was noticeable from like watching the fight as well. Shout out to everybody that's watching. It says we got about 140 people in here. If you guys are watching, like it, share it, retweet it, let everybody know you're watching. Um, that was like I said, your shots and the way you were able to stop her where she was at. You talked about the cut. You talked about that you felt like you were on the you were on the edge of taking her out. I agree.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I thought that fight was going to go. Before we get to talking about Tiara Brown and you being the mandatory and how you feel that you fare in that matchup, we also cover the pro wrestling side of things. And one thing that we talk about over here, we call it locker room etiquette, but it's things that, piss people off or annoy them. When it comes to fighters, we always ask this, and I love to see what the answers are going to be with it. Do you got any like fight week superstitions, like anything you got to do like on weigh-in day, or anything you got to eat right after you weigh in, or are you like a specific type of Pedialyte person or whatever you drink after you weigh in?
Not at all. I don't have any superstition. Like the only thing I do, and I always do it like every day, but especially like in my fights, because it's important for me. I pray a lot, and it's important for me to be close to God, because especially like when you go into a ring, and uh, you just wanna be out safe and having your opponents being safe as well. So for me, like it's a connection to God. When I box, it's like um it's my way to be close to God.
I love that because that's
Bro.
something that we talked about with Sammy Worthington a bunch too. Sammy Worthington's a
Yeah.
past guest of this show. Like that was one thing we talked about a bunch as I'm a Christian myself. So
Mhm.
like hearing those kind of things, talk to me about how your faith is able to kind of like calm your mind in a fight. Because I've told people before, like, you know, the one question I haven't fought in a long time, but one question that every fighter gets at some point or another, whether you're fighting amateur, pro, whatever. Oh man, are you scared to get in there? Well, no, bro. At the end of the day, I've trained for however long your camp was or whatever. At this point, I want to get in there and I want to get in and throw hands. Like I put all this time, all this work in and stuff like that. But for me, like you said, it's kind of one of those things where it's like I always would have to pray before I get in there. And the prayer is always real simple. Like, let your will be done, but let me to be able to use my skills to the
Mhm.
best of my ability. Like
Of course.
ultimately, I feel like most people, especially Christians, like if you talk to them when it comes to fighting, the biggest thing is just let me be able to show what I'm capable of doing. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I don't know if that's what it's like for you, but for me, that was a big one too. Like, let me get out of it, like you said, without getting hurt, but let me
Mhm.
be able to just show my full skills. That
Mhm.
way, if I didn't win and I got to, you know, and like you said, it was a war or we were throwing hands like that, at least
Mhm.
I got to go in there and show what I was capable of doing. Maybe it was just their night. So for you, how
Mhm.
does that translate into the fight for you?
But yeah, sometimes sometimes it's normal to feel fear too, because you're human at the end of the day, and especially when the jackpot, if I can say, is that big, in a big stage like that, and it's getting more and more important because you're fighting for a title, a big title, and you put in so many hours, so many efforts into this moment for sure. Like sometimes that's what you feel, but even when you feel that you can perform, it's just a matter of like uh you gotta prepare for this mentally, and I think a mental preparation is as important as training, and there's a way to prepare to this. If me, when I get into the ring, sometimes, I mean, the last fight anyway, uh, I felt like it was like a sparring. Like I didn't even feel the butterflies. I was
Nice.
like, damn, that's like that's that's where I'm in the ring. Like that's where I felt the best. Like I know what to do. I know what I'm supposed to do, and it's clear in my mind. Like everything that I have to do is the plan is pretty clear, and I don't know, like I'm just super focused. I'm ready. I know exactly what I have to do, and I feel like sometimes it's my strength. It's my superpower.
And that's something that you hear a lot, you know, and I mean, and that's the thing, and I've said that you know, like because for me with my faith, like, you know, it's one thing you hear people talk about a lot, like, but for me, I've always been one of those people, like, you know, you hear people say, you know, God spoke to me. I've never
Mhm,
had like a moment where I was like, oh, I felt like God said something to me, but I've had times where like you could
mhm.
be going into a fight, like you said, or like last year, my mom had a heart attack when I was,
Yeah,
you know, when I was at home. But
yeah,
the way things played out, the way they did, I knew that God was there because if He hadn't been, would have been
exactly.
done with. Had I gone to work that day, I wouldn't have been home so that I could have, you know, made sure my mom was good. The same is like you knowing that God's with you before you step into the ring. Like that's one thing that I feel like goes not unnoticed isn't the right word, but it's underrated in a lot of ways.
Mhm,
Like people don't think about the peace that can give you, knowing that ultimately God's in control. And for me, like, you know, my favorite verse of the Bible is Romans 8:28. You know, God works all things together for the good of those who
mhm,
love him and are called according to his purpose, which to me meant even if I lost, well, then that means then something else is going to happen before. And, Corey and I have known each other for over 20 years at this point. Corey was there the last time I boxed. And the last time I had a fight, I fought a guy 20 pounds heavier. It's the only time I've ever been knocked out in the entire time I've ever fought. And he did it in the last 30 seconds of the round.
Oh,
I remember getting up and it's like, well, that fucking sucked. You know what I mean? But like, I remember getting up like, shit, I was doing fine. But at the end of the day, I just like, after I had a minute, you're like, well,
I'm
maybe
sorry.
I wasn't
I thought you were about to come back with like some motivational speech thing, and he's just like,
I mean, for real though, it's the
he's
truth.
not wrong.
It's the last. I mean, you
He's
get
not
knocked
wrong.
out like
Right?
that, and you're like,
well,
God,
that's how
what
it
the
goes,
hell?
I guess.
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
he's about
Like
to fire back
you're
with
like, what
something like,
happened? I was sure I was going to win, but
oh,
ultimately,
man, it's funny.
like you said, like you being able to have that mindset and be able to show those things and have platforms like this to be able to talk about that. I think that's something that you see a lot more now in 2025 than people ever talked about back in the day when it came to fights and stuff like that. You'd see people pray before they get in the ring in that. But I'm a firm believer in, having the right mindset and being able to be calm, when you go in there, which I think you would agree, having faith, that's one thing that comes with that over time once you've put in the work for those kind of things. And speaking of putting in that work, now you got your number one contender status. You're going to fight for the big belt for WBC. First of all, the WBC belts always crack me up because they're all green. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing growing up in boxing. I'm like, who thought of the idea for these to be the green belts? But they're widely considered one of the bigger belts you can win. So talk to me about this fight with Tiara Brown. How do you feel like you match up with that, and how soon do you want to see that fight happen?
The sooner the better.
I like it.
Yeah.
About that action, I like it.
I wish actually, I'm hoping by the end of the year, before the end of the year,
Come
I
back to
mean,
Detroit for
but the fight is actually has been officially ordered between me and her, so it's just a matter of time, just having my team and her team negotiating, and we'll see what's happening. But that's what I'm hoping before the end of the year. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a really great fight. I mean, Tara is a hell of a fighter, and I've got nothing but respect for her. She she had a rocky road too, like a lot of women in boxing, and I'm just like, uh, I can't wait to show what I'm capable of, because in this kind of opportunities, um, like a world championship, that's where uh, I think that's where you're really gonna see like all my potential. Like you haven't seen the best of me yet. I feel like um, I worked for so long for this moment, for this opportunity, and um, it just it just that's where when I'm gonna be a world champion, that's where you're gonna see the best of me.
You just got to do me a
like
favor.
that.
After you win the big green belt, you got to come back on the show.
Bring
Yeah,
that
of
belt.
course.
Bring that
But
belt.
yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to see the appearance of it. That's for sure. I mean, you
Yeah.
talk about everything that's went into this, title drive and stuff like that. Now that you've made it to this point, w- is there anything different in your mind about the fact that you're now, I don't want to say waiting on an opponent, but you have somebody lined up in mind, your sights are drawn. It, is it different in that sense of like you're not just reaching from a pool of possible fighters? Like I say, you're lined in on who's next. It's just a matter of when. Does that really change things in your mind?
Well, I would say the difference is like the the level of quality of my opponent. Like,
Hmm.
um, she she she's the best I'm gonna face like in my whole career, and it's gonna be like that now. Like every fight I'm gonna have, it's gonna be against great opponents, and it's gonna give really great fights to the fans and to the public. So I'm pretty excited because it's good challenges for me, and like I said, like that's where you're gonna see the best of me. And yeah, I can't wait.
Love to hear it. Well, I gotta know, outside of your own fights, how much are you keeping up with boxing as a whole? Do you watch MMA at all? Do you keep up on boxing, the sport itself, like outside of your own fights?
Yeah, actually only boxing. I like MMA, but I don't really follow it. But yeah, I love to watch boxing. Sometimes I watch it every weekend, so I'm taking a break right now of watching it. But yeah, I like to follow a few boxers um, from my gym actually. Like I'm training with boxers from Eye of the Tiger. There's Kristen Billy in my
Nice.
gym. She is training with my coach too, and there's Arthur Beterbiev in the gym too. So I'm happy to train along them, and yeah, I watch a lot of fights actually every weekend.
So you're a
Yeah,
fight nerd just like us. Between doing commentary,
yeah,
I
for
got a
sure.
judge's license here in Michigan, so like I'm around more fights than I care to talk about a lot of the time. Talking about those fights now that I know that you follow boxing, we were in the
Yeah.
press conference after your guys' fights were over. You got to tell me, how does Clarissa fare if this Layla Ali fight happens?
uh, that would be a good fight, man. I like to watch that fight. Actually, I'm
I
hoping
hope it
it's happening.
happens.
I hope
Yeah,
it
I'm hoping
happens
it's
too.
happening. But I don't know if it was just for the cloud. I don't know
I
if
mean,
she
they
was
sent
she
us
was
a
for
press
real.
release saying that they got the 15 million together. Like I know Selena sent us all a thing with like a video and everything saying that they had it.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I'm with it. Let's manifest it into happening because it was wild in the press
Yeah.
conference. Muhammad Ali's
yeah,
wife is sitting right to my right. And it's like, man, I told Layla she needs to stay her ass in the kitchen. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Ah, oh man.
Yeah, that was a wild statement when that happened.
Like straight up.
I was looking over and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's all right. Like,
The goat got that smoke, bro. You don't want it.
yeah. You know all that.
You don't want it, man. I'm telling you.
Shit, for
Yeah,
15 million, I could
I
go
mean,
in
I'd
there and
take
get
it for
fucked up
15
real
million, but I'm just saying.
yeah,
I'd let her beat me up for less. Let's be honest.
Hell yeah, you know what I mean? 15 million sounds great to me.
yeah.
You got to tell me though, since you follow the sport, we got one of the biggest fights that people have been talking about in boxing for a long time. Has finally been signed. We have a date for it. You got Canelo versus Crawford. Who's winning this? How do you see that fight going?
My God. I'm still thinking about it because I think that the weight is difference gonna uh maybe change. It's important. Oops, sorry. It's important to have like usually to be in the same weight class. It changed something. But I heard like Crawford was like even bigger than the the weight class, so I guess it's not gonna be a problem for him. But skill wise, like I really prefer Crawford, and I believe he's a better boxer. But uh, and I can't wait to see that fight because I'm really intrigued by that. Like I think Canelo maybe is stronger. Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. But Crawford is smarter and he has really good defense skills. And if he can take Canelo's punches, it's gonna annoy him, and it's gonna be like a master class of him of
See that
boxing.
you just hit on the number one thing that I think is like the story of that fight. Like I think Canelo's size, like I could definitely see Canelo trying to like use his weight and kind of lean on him a bunch to wear Bud out. I think skill
Yeah,
for skill, I think Bud is more of, like you said, the better skilled boxer.
yeah,
But the one thing that we know about Canelo is don't let the pretty boy red hair fool you. That dude is not afraid of a dog fight. And I
yeah,
think for Canelo to win this fight, that's the type of fight that this needs to be. This can't
yeah,
be a
exactly.
boxing match. To me, I think he needs to make this fight not dirty as in cheating, but I think he needs to make it a rough fight for Bud because to your point, I feel like if Bud, can kind of get in his groove and start to land his punches, and if any of those punches kind of land with any, substance to him, I think that could maybe shook Canelo's confidence.
And like Ever Spence tried to do that. He tried to
That's true.
to brawl with him and like to fight him, but he was ready for that. He was really composed, and he knew how to throw his punches at what moment. And I don't know if Canelo is smarter. It's not gonna do it like that. But I feel like Bud can really do like even better. Yeah. And
I agree. I think he's a tougher fight than Spence 100. It's definitely going to be a fight that I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to see. I got 2 more questions for you before we get out of here. We got one from the comments. Shout out to Cody and Arctic Pines tree trimming and your snow removal. Check all that stuff out. Check out Cody. He's a big supporter of the show. But he asked me, he said,
question.
I gotta ask it, So he asked it in the questions. All right, so have you ever used the punch machine? And if so, what was the score?
Oh my god, the punch machine. Yes, I did. I don't remember exactly the score though.
got
I think it
900.
was not even no, it wasn't good. To be honest, it was around like 700 something. Like I don't know. But
Wait, what's good on that machine? I've never hit it.
it's like 900 is good.
900 is like the usual like record that people have on, but that's also people that are taking like a big ass long wind up and just throwing everything they got in it. When I did it with just a left hook. I think I hit it for like 745 or 750, but I threw it just from a straight left hook.
Yeah.
I think if I'd have thrown like a big overhand right, it probably would have went more. But yeah, you got to have like the big ass wind up for it to get the big number.
The secret is you gotta be the less technical possible and just like
windmill.
My favorite is seeing all the fail videos on that punch machine, and like you see people completely missing. Those are my favorite. That would be me, because anytime I see it, I'm usually at like a bar or something. By that time, it's too late.
So we might have a new sponsor at World of Games. So what you're saying is we need to have.
I'm not saying anything,
machine, and we need to record it. That's what you're saying.
3 shots of tequila, and I might.
He said 3 shots of tequila, and I might. I like it. Hell yeah. Well, the last question I got is, like I said, we are also a pro wrestling show. We talk about that stuff all the time. We covered WWE and AEW and TNA and all that stuff last year. Were you ever a wrestling fan at all? Did any of that stuff ever catch you?
Oh no, I don't really watch that.
Not even Hulk Hogan and Rocky 3.
Not even Hulk Hogan.
I know, but it's not my thing. Like,
damn, J-Bone, you've been called out. He says I challenged J-Bone to the punch machine. Oh
dude,
shit!
Listen,
shit! He's gonna back
Cody.
out of this one, Cody, because he still owes
I got a bad record
from
of
like 3 years ago.
Keeping these bets and things going.
Yeah, J-Bone don't pay his bet.
I don't like to. I don't like to put myself in situations. You know what I mean? I'm more of a stay low.
How is a punching machine a bad situation?
Because
like,
somebody's going to record it. Somebody's going to record it.
Well, of course, you got to document it.
Or I'm going to get like a 200 or something, and then be the last.
He said I'm going to get a 200.
I'm not with it. I'd rather just drink my tequila and be fine by myself. Find me at the bar. I'll leave the fighting to you guys.
Come on, I'm a boxer. I just did 7 something, so.
See, she said, "Don't be a hoe." That's what she said.
I can't. I'm not gonna embarrass myself.
He said, "I'll swing and miss."
That's what I'm saying, dude. That'd be me.
Man, this guy backs out of every bet that we got.
We don't want to embarrass me or the show's brand. Okay, we don't want to do that.
I think it would make for great content, personally.
We don't want to embarrass the brand.
That would be a good content.
God, I hope that never happens.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, before we let you get out of here, if there's anything else that you want to cover, or anything else you want people to know about Caroline Veyre, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, keep following me, guys. Follow me on Instagram and follow my journey of becoming world champion. It's coming soon, so I'm pretty excited, and it's only the beginning yet.
You heard her. It's only the beginning. Put your money on Veyre if you're trying to win some money. I tried to tell people, go check out that article and you'll see why. But if you guys are wrestling fans, and if you're watching the show, there's a good chance you might be, as I've already seen people are commenting on our Facebook about the UFC pay-per-view model. This weekend, you got to be in New Baltimore. I'm doing a panel with the Brooklyn Brawler. You're going to have Teddy Long there. You're going to have the Godfather there. You're going to have Ron Simmons there. Damn. And then on Friday, we got to give out the awards. You got the Ring Review Awards. I'll be presenting the Commentator of the Year award for our guy, Ken Brass, that passed away. You've also got Brandon Hudson from Fox 2 will be there. It's going to be a good time. Come out, check out some wrestling. Watch me make a dumbass out of myself on the stage. I'm just kidding. It's going to be a good time. I already got a lot of good questions already lined up and ready to go. And you got to make sure you stay tuned for next week. You never know who is going to be on the other side of that screen. So until next time and any in-between time, make sure you check out our homies over at Arctic Pines. Make sure you're following us at KO3C Pod. And make sure you're following Miss Veyre over here. Until next time and in the in-between time, peace.
Yeah, thank you.